Hi there. And so far, yes, I am clothed, at least above the waist, it would seem. Welcome to Friday, another extraordinary day to be alive. It is Friday, April 24th. This is the live drawing party. I am Danny Gregory. You are here with me, and I'm very glad of it. And I've been watching some very interesting conversations happening in the live commentary, which is good, which is good. I'm glad that you are provoked to think about this. I see a lot of excuses about coldness. Really? Okay. But uh, rest assured that we'll find our way through this topic in a way that makes you feel reasonably comfortable. Okay? This is, after all, YouTube, not late night public access cable TV or HBO. I'm dating myself by bringing up that reference, aren't I? But yes, we've had numerous discussions here at the Gregory household about this topic for the last few days. My wife has been quite adamant that I shouldn't appear in the Altogether, but Altogether. Uh, that's a reference, by the way, to one of my favorite movies, Hans Christian Andersen with Danny Kaye. It's not really, but if you like that movie, you'll like that reference. But yes, my wife has been quite adamant that it would be inappropriate and that I would be driving off um, people in droves. Is that really the thing that you want to hear your wife say? No. I happen to think of myself as a fine specimen of masculinity, but maybe she just doesn't want to share me with the world. Understandable. There's all kinds of apprehensions that we have about this topic. But nonetheless, let's delve into it, shall we? Honestly, the biggest reason that I'm not is not because of my wife, actually, but because of YouTube and Facebook and their their constraints on um, nudity. But we can still think. You can still undress me in your mind if you'd like, and undress yourself. So let's talk a bit about. Oh, by the way, let me just get this piece of business out of the way because I am always forgetting it. Sketchbookschool.com/Danny's list. I'm sending out an essay today. It should probably be in your email box pretty soon. Don't check now. Stay on point. But every day, not every day, periodically, I write essays about nudity and other things that are appropriate for email, and all kinds of topics about things that I find interesting that I hope you will too. If you'd like to get those emails, go to this place, sketchbookcool.com/Danny's hyphen list, and tell me that you want me to send them to you. A lot of people have been responding to them. They're sent with my email address, so people respond to them, although they are sort of one of those mass email things. You can respond to them, and I will get it, and that's good, and I'll hear what you have to say and respond in kind. So yeah, by all means, sign up, and also don't forget that this weekend, tomorrow, is Kosha's workshop, Kosha's killer sketchbook filler workshop. I think it may be too late to sign up, or maybe you have like another hour or two to sign up, but other than that, it's going to happen, and it's going to be really good. Okay, so let's talk about nudity, and let's talk about self-portraits actually. Self-portraits are something that we have been practicing here every Friday. This has been another bone of contention I've had with Jenny, my wife. She said, "Do people really want to draw self-portraits every week?" And I say, "Well, maybe not. Maybe people don't like drawing self-portraits. It's true, I don't see that many posted. Maybe people don't like to share them. I like to draw them because I'm devilishly handsome, and particularly when I'm partially clothed. But also, I think it's a good topic. I think it's a good subject for drawing. And I think, particularly in this day and age when we are going through changes, Drawing self-portraits is a great way to chart those changes, not only in our appearance, but also how we're feeling, our psychology, what's going on with us. And all of that comes out, whether you intend to or not, it comes out in a self-portrait. And so that's what I'm thinking. Um, that it's, as Cynthia has pointed out, it is good practice, but it is also, I think, a worthwhile topic for art. God knows a lot of artists have made self-portraits, and a lot of times the reason is because it's cheaper than hiring a model. But I just want to go through and look at some 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 naked self-portraits and talk a bit about them. Okay, Frida Kahlo painted several naked self-portraits like this one. Would you call this naked? Sort of naked, naked-ish, naked light. But she's also, of course, revealing her insides and her health issues, the pain that she lived with every day. And I think it's a very powerful image. So I'm glad that it's not titillating. I wouldn't say like, wow, that's hot, but I think it's revealing and communicates a lot about her. And I think that that's powerful. Alice Neal, one of my favorite painters, and she certainly did a lot of portraits. That was mainly what she did, but she also did a lot of nudes of other people, and she also painted at least this one that I know of herself. I think she was 80 years old when she painted it. Presumably, it was warm enough in the studio for her to strip down. But I think she is saying something really strong with this painting, right? She's saying, "Here I am, a woman of a certain age, and I am willing to look at myself in this way. I'm willing to present myself just like I present all kinds of other bodies." And you know, Alice Neal, to me, there's a certain kind of looseness, even wonkiness to her paintings, but um, I think that there's so much truth and power in them as well. And this is a beautiful painting. This is Lucian Freud, another painter who I really love. And there's some controversy because it was discovered that these several paintings that he had done of his daughter when she was a teenager, that she was naked, and there was some kind of shock about that. My God, he's painting his naked daughter, but he painted many other naked people, and obviously he painted naked Lucian too. And boy, was just an amazing painter. Um, I don't know how he was as a human being. I think the jury might be out on that, but who cares, really? At least in today's discussion. This is another amazing British painter, Jenny Saville. If you don't know her, I urge you to look her up. She paints a lot of gigantic paintings of mainly women, nude women, but very, very close up. And she's able to paint flesh in an incredible way. And this is actually one of her earliest paintings. I think she might have even done this in art school. And this is a self-portrait. She did several self-portraits, but she's also painted a lot of other people too. And her name is Jenny Saville, Saville, Jenny Saville. Worth looking up if you don't know her work. Okay. This is another painter, artist who I have loved since I was a teenager. I think that's generally when we fall in love with Egon Schiele, is when we're teenagers. And Egon Schiele did many self-portraits, nude self-portraits. He painted a lot of nudes in general. His stuff was very, always had an erotic tinge to it, but he painted himself quite often. And in fact, I would say that my favorite painting by him is this one, which is a nude self-portrait. Incredibly powerful. Look at the sculptural quality to it. Look at those hip bones. And I don't know, this is just an incredible piece of construction and composition. And he did a lot of these sort of kind of mannered poses. And Egon Schiele, of course, not of course, you may not know this, but Egon Schiele and his wife and his mentor Klimt all died 102 years ago in the fall of 1918. They all died of the Spanish flu. Uh, Egon Schiele's wife, Edith, died like 2 or 3 days before he did. He did the last piece of art that he made, in fact, was a drawing of her on her deathbed. And he was 28 years old. If you don't know Egon Schiele, I strongly encourage you to look him up. He was an incredibly gifted artist, but very, um, very controversial. I think even now, he's still controversial. And he is, you know, particularly has a new relevance, I think, now in this day of quarantine and so forth. But just so like those piercing eyes, the bones, I love his line quality. You'll notice in a lot of his drawings that he has this um, kind of hard edge, like this outline that he draws, but it's not just a pure outline of the edge of the build of the body, but it also kind of goes in to areas. It digs in. It violates just the perimeter and goes in, and then also just this combination of he used pastels. I think he used gouache and watercolor. Obviously, he drew in pencil, often on colored background paper. He's really a powerful person, powerful artist. So these are all so far naked self-portraits, but let's look at some naked pictures that are not nude. I think going back to Frida Kahlo, I think she was an artist who also had a lot of. I mean, I'm using the word naked perhaps incorrectly, but I think there was a nakedness to the way that she showed herself. For a woman to present herself in this, very honest, strong way was certainly out of sync with her times. It was the way women should be portrayed, of course, but I mean, I think she has become an icon in part because of her willingness to to present herself uh, in a way that feels right, in the way that feels true, who she is. The fact that she did so many self portraits, again, I think just she had, yeah, I think Sharman's right. It's authenticity is the word, but for the sake of social media controversy, let's call it naked. This is Jenny Saville again. Now imagine this painting is probably 8 feet high, I think. I mean, a lot of her paintings are gigantic. You go up to them and the figure overwhelms you, but a lot of it has this kind of loose, almost ugly quality to it. Like this is not pretty. This is strong and raw and powerful. And, I think this is a lot of courage too, to present yourself this way as a giant smeared face. It's a California artist you may not have heard of. His name is Don Bacardi. It's Bachardy. I think this is a really great self-portrait. It's watercolor, of course, um, but again, I think there's a lot of honesty and straightforwardness in this painting. The kind of taut cables of his neck, the lines in his face, and the look and the expression, which looks frankly afraid, right? He's looking at himself deeply, and I think that that's really powerful, really powerful person as well. This is Cindy Crawford. I mean, Cindy Sherman. Cindy Crawford. That would be funny. No, this is Cindy Sherman. And Cindy Sherman, everything that she does is a self-portrait. Um, and recently she's been doing a lot of them on her iPhone. But she's not afraid to present herself as other characters, right? She's creating characters and she's making images, using herself as a way of commenting on the world, on society, and on something, and on how we see different types, different how we see women. I mean, just in a lot of ways, everything is based in her, but she is always becoming something else. So I think that there's always like a synergy and a connectedness because of that. Vince van Gogh, painted so many self-portraits again because there's a limit to how many prostitutes I guess he could paint. But he, I think of all the self-portraits, this is in a way the most naked one, even though he's probably wearing more clothes than in any other one. This is after his monopidiotomy when he cut off a large chunk of his ear, as we know. Um, but it frankly took balls to paint himself right after this, and to paint himself in this way, kind of wrapped up um, in a studio with a Japanese print behind him. But to me, he represents like the willingness to show yourself, to put yourself out there, and I think his self-portraits are iconic for that reason, not just because of his painting technique, um, but because of his willingness to make as many self-portraits as he did. I mean, Rembrandt did a small number by comparison of them, but I think that a lot of that was because he was doing sort of almost academic studies with light, and I think he also didn't have a lot of money at the time. But Van Gogh, you see how he learned to paint through looking at the sequence of his self-portraits. But I think again, just the naked quality of this, the willingness to tell this story in public, is I think really strong. All right. So given all that, what are we going to do with it? I think. Okay. Thank you. This just in. Yes. Sorry, Jenny just told me that as of right now we can't. Kosha's workshop is full and we can't sign up for it anymore. But um, this weekend we will be announcing the next one, which is even more amazing. So anyway, going back to self-portraits, Cynthia corrects me and says that Rembrandt did 79 self-portraits. Well, there you have it. He was productive in all things. I think one of the difficulties, the challenges that people have with doing self-portraits, traditional artists, is um, people didn't necessarily want to buy them. So, you had to invest a fair amount of time and art supplies in making something that you couldn't sell. So I think that was a limitation too. Van Gogh wasn't selling anything, so whatever. So anyway, so let's think about what we're going to do with this self-portrait. Like how are we going to approach this idea of it being naked? You know, um, what are you going to say about yourself as you did this? Um, are you willing to do it? Or do you want to just watch me do it? You can watch me do it if you want to. But I think this might be maybe your goal now is to make a self-portrait that you don't really want anybody else to see. So I'm going to make this, and you're going to see it, but don't tell anybody, okay? And keep it between us. And let's see where we go. If you want to strip down, of course, and you prefer to just do a butt naked one, I might do that later on. It's the weekend after all. How have you felt this week also? I mean, that's part of what I hope to achieve with my selfies is to sort of get a bit of a sense of myself in this moment. And this week has been good and bad for me. Maybe that's for you too. All these weeks seem to be like that. They have that quality of that grief has, in my experience. Grief can make your emotions jump around in unpredictable ways. And even at the best of times, things can come in and rock your world unexpectedly. Like what was going on that made you suddenly feel this way? Suddenly, out of the blue, you feel desperate or panicky or hopeless. And then it can just go away again. Without explanation, without apparent explanation. So yeah, so my week was a little bit like that, like just suddenly like wow, just feeling unmoored, and then suddenly feeling okay again. For some reason, I'm focused on my neck. Nora Ephron writes something about her neck. I think it's one of those signs of aging that we dread, kind of the developing wattles. Why does somebody keep saying, "You are my dog"? That seems foolish. Oh well, I guess it's some teenager, some 11-year-old who is being obnoxious. Good on you, man. I would block you, but unfortunately, I'm drawing. So could you block yourself? And let's carry on. Let's carry on with self-examination. I think the the thing about doing this kind of drawing is I think it's difficult to actually do it intentionally. Like I don't know. Maybe Aegon Sheila would tell us otherwise, but for me, it feels more like I just have to kind of be myself and not really try to tell a story with the drawing, but instead um, see what flows. Yeah. Does naked have to mean ugly or raw? Maybe. Maybe that is the case. Maybe your naked self, maybe your authentic self isn't ugly. Maybe it's possible to actually feel good about yourself while you're doing this. You'll have to tell me if that's true. Sorry if I'm not talking very much. It's hard to talk when you're naked. Maybe that's part of the lesson in this. Don't talk when you're naked. Anguished, huh? Strong word. Do you ever see your parents in your self portraits? Often I'll see my mother. Get around the eyes. really not trying to look miserable. So that's one of the things about drawing self-portraits a lot of times is you look just very kind of intently and slack-jawed as you're staring at yourself, and as a result, you end up having these sort of like kind of expressionless look on your face. So that's, I think, part of the trick of this is how do you not make yourself look like you are either, that you don't have what they call resting bitch face. It comes from just sort of sitting there looking in the mirror. It's sort of a pleasant expression, isn't it? Resting bitch face. Anyway, I didn't invent it. Probably shouldn't use it. slightly strange drawing for me, slightly different looking. I guess that was part of the idea. Karen says, I find I follow through more with completing self-portraits now that I'm in my late 50s. Self-acceptance, I suppose, more forgiving of my perceived physical flaws than I was as a young woman. I'll tell you another reason why. I bet you more interesting to draw. When you have smooth, kind of rounded features, there's just not as much to grip onto as when you're kind of wrinkled and rumpled and your bits sticking out. I think if you're all smooth and symmetrical, it's not that interesting to draw. I mean, you don't see a lot of like great paintings of supermodels. I haven't done any. We should get some supermodels over to the house once the quarantine ends. See if I can knock out a couple of. No, I don't think so. I think as we get older, it's a truism, of course, but as we get older, our lives appear on our faces and we become more individualized, more particular, therefore more interesting to draw. So, yeah, I'm going to keep working on this. I think in the spare time, there's some other things I might want to do. Let me just try. Give me 1 minute if you don't mind. I just want to try a couple things here. Hmm. Yeah. All right. That's where I think I'll leave it today. Um, Thanks for drawing along with me. Um, I want to keep thinking about this idea of how to not necessarily um, distress self-portraits. That's not entirely the point. I think it's more, to get focused. I think obviously it's difficult to do a self-portrait when you're on YouTube, but to get into a deeper kind of feeling. But I think it is a worthwhile thing to do to spend the weekend sort of looking deeper into the mirror, seeing what you see there. Um, I see some of you talking about using grids. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why, but it's up to you. I would say a grid. certainly wouldn't make it easier to get closer to who you are, but maybe it will. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for doing another self-portrait. This may be the last time we do self-portraits, unless you tell me that you really like doing them every Friday. But I think they're challenging for people, and I think that they are um, not always the kind of relaxing experience we want to have at, you know, here. So let us work on some other ideas. You guys have sent me a bunch of ideas. Feel free to send more. Um, don't forget to sign up for my list so that I can send you some stuff. I just put together something that I'm sending you today, and I have more stuff that I want to send you. So let me do that by just telling me where to send it. And if you have anything that you'd like to share that you made today, you can put hashtag SBS Drawing Party on it, and then I'll probably see it. Put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, put it in the schoolyard at Sketchbook School. And so let's keep drawing together. I'll see you same time on Monday. Have a nice weekend. Make sure it is a weekend. Make sure it feels different than the rest of the week, just for the sake of a better sense of time passing. So I don't know, dress differently, eat differently, talk to different people, do different stuff. See if you can make it into a nice experience in the week. That's what I plan to do, and have an enjoyable time doing it. I'll see you next week on Monday, same time, same place.